Hi everyone, good Friday afternoon and welcome to GoLocal Live. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us to start your almost start to, for some, a 3-day weekend. I would like to welcome in a familiar face, GoLocal columnist Robert Whitcomb. Thank you for joining today.
Hello there.
Thanks
Aloha.
for coming. Aloha. Thanks for coming into the studio. Kind of lots to talk about. Let's talk about what's right behind us here. In the Jewelry District, a new proposed construction of a modular
which I think is very attractive. The problem is it's 27 feet higher than the limit. I say, screw the limit. Let them build it. It's actually quite attractive. My friend will be interested to see if my friend Will Morgan likes or not. But at least from the version we saw in the media, it looks pretty nice.
So it's super interesting because
it certainly beats vacant parking lots.
The height limit in the Jewelry District is 100 feet, but developers get incentivized if apparently they put certain amenities on the ground.
Right.
Levels,
Retail or a health club or something like that.
They can go up another 30 feet.
The thing about the real estate business is to make money, it's the higher stories. In New York, the old cliche was, well, you don't start making money until you're 15 stories up.
Okay.
The developer. It's probably lower here, maybe actually underground here,
the developer
given
said
the
that.
economy.
They said they couldn't go back to the 100. It wouldn't be cost effective.
It's just the nature of the real estate business, whether there'll be financing available for that, and there is one interesting aspect of that. Mr. Michael Corso is involved in it, and we all remember him as one of the statesmen in the 38 Studios catastrophe. So, let's check the tax deals for this thing.
Keep an eye on the Jewelry
District. And this big tax credit, how is this thing being structured? I'm sure people will look at that with an electron microscope.
Just this past week it was design review, so of course we'll be keeping tabs on it and reporting then. This week as well, GoLocal broke yesterday. The 195 Commission sent a letter to developer Jason Fain, whose organization asked for an extension for their application for a tax stabilization agreement that was supposed to be in June, asked for it to be extended to December.
Right.
They said fine, December, but that's the last extension.
Yeah, unfortunate expression, it was in GoLocal, drop dead. Now, Mr. Fain is 76.
They said that's
as my father used to say, I resemble that remark.
That's it. They said no more extensions. And then the Fain organization kind of clapped back and said, did you have to make this public? Can we have a conversation
I wouldn't
about
have.
this?
I wouldn't have made it public. I think.
Do you think it gets built?
Oh boy.
Don't put me on the spot.
No.
Okay.
No, I'd say 45% chance it gets built, 55 not. Mostly because of the delay. I think if it had been quickly approved a couple of years ago, it'd be up by now.
Can we get any action on these building
proposals
on Twin River?
Around here? They want that sort of giant museum here. By the way, I have to tell you another controversial proposal. What do they call it? College Hill Hotel.
Smart hotels.
I'm all in favor of a hotel there, even though they certainly have a problem with parking, especially since Brown and Risty took all the public parking in what I believe is an illegal taking. On the sidewalk, on the side of the road. Having said all that, the problem with that is a horrible design. It's just hideous. It looks like Soviet-era housing block. So if
they said it was preliminary. They said it was preliminary.
I'm sure it's preliminary. But what they really need is an attractive, I don't know whether it's brick or it can be very modern.
Well,
but what I saw in GoLocal,
that
means more money. Right, that's more money. It could be another financing problem. You can understand why they'd like to be there. It's in the heart of a rich residential neighborhood with a couple of rich colleges and a lot of rich parents. Very important.
Well, very interesting point that was raised was Ed Bishop.
Who favors it?
Well, his 3 buildings that would be torn down.
Sure.
It was actually his son at the College Hill Neighborhood Association meeting said.
Brian
said, look, it's not a hotel or status quo. We will be doing something with these buildings,
blowing them up,
selling them if this is not the
for lumber, firewood.
That these buildings they have are not viable. Interestingly enough, Citizens just behind it is owned by Brown. So if this hotel proposal gets knocked down, pun intended, Brown could come easily swoop in, take that land, and then the neighborhood and the city would have even less say as to what would be
let's take some more property off the tax rolls.
Off the tax rolls. Design aside.
That's right. Forget that. But the design is really quite horrible. I'm not as picky or expert about this as our friend Will Morgan, but it just looked terrible.
Well, we'll see what Will has to say about the Jewelry District. Let's get a little national, of course. What's
the
not
impeachment
taking
stuff?
place
Giuliani. I think that one thing the arrest of those two people show that the real corruption in Ukraine was Trump, Giuliani and company. Everything else is, the expression gaslighting, distractions. The fact is the Bidens, he's not my candidate, Joe Biden's not, and I know him a little bit from Delaware. They didn't do anything illegal. I don't think young Hunter, who's been a sort of a troubled soul, should have taken that job, and I think that Joe Biden should have discouraged him from doing it, taking that job, but it's legal. They didn't do anything illegal, nor did the Bidens do anything illegal in investments in China, where the Trumps have massive investments, licensing deals, many of them involving the leading lady of that mob family, Ivanka. So, I mean, the hypocrisy, it's just sort of gaslighting, change the subject. But I think the arrest of those two people, with their one-way tickets, from Dulles Airport.
I'm not coming back.
They're not coming back. They're like in a sleeping bag with Rudy. They're crooks. I think this pushes the impeachment thing some more, even though I still don't think he would get convicted by the Senate. The Republican Party is now basically just the Trump party. However, I think there is one option, which I threw into my column, which maybe censure is the way to do it. That's what they did with Joe McCarthy. They censured him. It's very rare. Okay. And Tom Dodd from Connecticut, that might be the reasonable way of doing it. Yeah. Okay. Censure him.
Well, super interesting this week because they did on Tuesday say, the administration sent a letter to the House saying we're not going to
we aren't going to cooperate anyway.
But now the EU ambassador apparently is going to testify.
And she's not a happy soul.
So when things are in their favor, they'll do it, but then not. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that.
But one other thing, the Deutsche Bank thing. Now, the Deutsche Bank says it does not have Trump's tax returns. I don't know if I believe that. But at least so far, the handing over of the House, the approval of handing over the House of Trump's tax stuff has gotten up to the appeals court. It got up to the appeals court, I think, late yesterday. Now, the Supreme Court is basically a kind of brothel now for the for the Trump crowd. So maybe they'll protect the president there. But if you get a hold of these records, get a hold of this stuff, it's going to be very exciting. Some of it came out a couple of years ago. Remember the Times got some of the time? I mean, just showing the level of corruption of this guy, which everybody in New York knows about, but they seem to know nothing about it in South Dakota. So anyway.
Another story dominating the national news, of course, Matt Lauer back in the news again, Ronan Farrow.
Well, Sleazeboy, formerly of Providence, he lived across the street from us.
So a very serious rape allegation made within the book. Matt Lauer essentially breaking his silence in a several hundred word
He's been in hiding out in the Hamptons,
if you will. I mean, obviously, he said he should have said something sooner, but I think Ronan Farrow, say what you will, really did a yeoman's effort.
He's a lawyer too,
to go through and get all the
Just
information.
because he's pretty doesn't mean he isn't smart. And so what if he may be Frank Sinatra's illegitimate son, but there's nothing wrong with that either. I wish I were. I could use the money.
Let's talk about what you have planned for your column on Sunday.
The proposal by the Republicans in the state legislature to study the IGT and Twin River, the competing proposal, I think that's a great idea. And, apparently Alan Hassenfeld, who I think is an honest guy, is willing to pay for it. So why not do that before proceeding?
GoLocal wrote Alan Hassenfeld's ties to scientific games.
Well, that's true,
wants to be a partner with Twin River.
It depends who they get. Maybe they could get McKinsey or somebody to look at the prosecuting consultant.
But then McKinsey has ties to Ramon.
Well, that's true. It never stops. You're true. Nothing is sacred.
But in theory,
it makes you want to wear a body condom, It's just terrible.
In theory, you like
In theory, I like the idea. Independent. I don't know who you could do that. The Auditor General or something like that. I still think the IGT proposal is better simply because it's a real tech company and Twin River isn't.
What else we
there are
got
more
going
things
on?
it could do. Okay, I'm happy about the Newport Dog Hotel. What's it called? Something Paws on Pelham. I think that's pretty neat. My question is, are they going to let in pit bulls? And will they provide free poop bags? And how appreciative would these canines be of the sights of Newport? I don't know about that. Another thing I'm very excited about is there will be no third Cape Cod Canal Bridge.
Okay.
They went up there. The tourist people wanted it. That would have been a disaster. There's too many people out there already. We need more trains out there. That beautiful train, apparently they're keeping that bridge up. And the plan looks pretty good, especially the terrifying thing about going across those bridges, they're coming, you've got this huge SUV heading directly at you. They're going to put a median in there. I'm very excited about that, and they're going to make it much better for much more access for pedestrians and bicyclists, which is really important to me anyway, because it's spectacular. Those bluffs going down to the canal, world's largest sea level canal. I mean,
Well,
it's
I
really
hope they plan on doing the work
really
in the
dramatic,
off
yeah.
season.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, how about they could start on Memorial Day? What do you think? So let's start on Memorial Day. Another thing, Boston taking over a rental property, rental office space is shrinking now, or people are cutting back in contracts to rent space, maybe, or not, I hope not, a kind of canary in the mine shaft of a recession.
As we said, we were talking about,
Yeah.
do you know you're getting into one and what it's
That's
happening?
right. It's usually a delayed reaction. That certainly happened in 07, 08. And the other thing is a subject of great interest to me, maybe a great boredom to other people, except when they're eating them. This is burgeoning oyster business in the Damariscotta River up in Maine, or down in Maine, because of the sailing. Which I think is really exciting, and what they're doing up there. I think they're growing probably the best oysters in the world, and I think it's
Better than Pawtucket's?
great stuff. Yeah, I think so. I think the water is better, but I think there's a real model there for aquaculture all up and down the New England coast, including Rhode Island. As you know, the Matunic is great stuff, and over in Duxbury and various other places. So that's really exciting. That's very hopeful. It's a new industry, because the lobsters are heading toward the Arctic Circle with the warming of the water and stuff like that. So.
Anything else?
Oh,
Or you
boy,
have to
there
just
are a
tune in?
whole bunch of, there's crazy, there's some other, oh yes, I praise Putin, Vladimir Putin, for cutting the drunk rate in Russia. Russia is famous, has been one of the most alcoholic places in the world, and the drinking problem there has been sharply reduced. This is
I
what
was not
happened.
aware of this.
Yeah, when you have a dictator who's willing to kill his opponents,
How did we know how he made it happen? Just an
I
awareness
don't know.
campaign?
Maybe like the Chinese communists, when they took over China in 1949, they simply went and killed the opium addicts.
Kill drunks.
Kill drugs. But that's a real change, though, in Russia.
I had not heard of that, so
Mortality rates are falling now. They've been rising for many years. So there's some public health lessons there.
there they
I
are.
think,
Read
yeah.
all about it
Yeah.
on Sunday. Robert Whitcomb, best read of the week on Go Local Prov. So thank you for coming in. Appreciate
Okay.
it. And thank you for watching, of course. Catch us over the weekend on GoLocalProv.com. Find us on Facebook. And of course, we'll be updating through the holiday weekend, but wish everyone a good one. We'll see you back here next week. I'm Go Local News Editor Kate Nagel.